Hello everyone, today we are learning Bresenham's line drawing algorithm. So we have considered here m less than 1 case. For m greater than 1 and m less than 1, the actual whole derivation is given in description below. So the main thing which we are going to learn here is the concept behind this. So let us look into this figure. So this figure here states us that line is passing from xk and yk, and then next point is passing from here. Instead of passing from any of the pixel value, this line is passing in middle of this pixel value, whereas in actual computer graphics we need to consider each and every actual pixel value, and we can't consider any middle point in it. So how will we consider the next pixel value? So for that we are doing some calculation here. So before that I want to make you note that x here is increasing by 1 unit, and for every incrementing or every increasing x value we are finding out y value. So we need to figure out y value. So for finding out y value, we are going to calculate this pixel value, this point value, which is taken as decision parameter. Why we are calling this as decision parameter? Because on the basis of that we are going to figure out our final y value. So for finding out pk, we are first calculating d1, whereas d1 is y minus yk and d2 is yk plus 1 minus y. So we will find out the subtraction of d1 minus d2. So after doing all those calculations, the final equation which we are going to get is pk plus 1 minus pk, and this whole thing. So I want to make you note that pk plus 1 here is the next decision parameter value, and pk is the previous decision parameter value, and from this equation we need to find out which y value we are going to consider. So let us take a case where if pk is less than 0, so the whole calculation which we are doing here, that is d1 minus d2, would be less than 0. That means this equation is in negative form. That means your d2 is greater than d1, and if d2 is greater than d1, so this point would be more nearer to this pixel rather than this. So what should be the next y value? The next y value should be yk. So instead of writing yk plus 1, we would be writing here yk. And consider the other case. If pk is greater than 0, that means your d1 minus d2 is greater than 0. That means you are going to get the positive value. So your d1 would be greater than d2. That means this point would be more nearer to this pixel. So what should be next y value? The next y value should be yk plus 1. And I want to make you note that here we can write yk plus 1 as yk plus 1 because the gap is of only 1 unit. So this was the main concept behind Bresenham's line drawing algorithm. It gives us the actual accuracy point. So let us look into the main algorithm. So I'll erase this thing. So the first thing which you have to do is you have to initiate first two end points of line, that is starting point and ending point of line, and then store the starting point in some buffer value. After storing this, you need to plot this first point because line would be start from that starting point. After doing that, find out delta x, delta y, so that you can get the initial decision parameter value. Here I have not mentioned that initial decision parameter value would be p0 equals to 2 delta y minus delta x. You don't have to bother very much about it because every detail is given in the description. So by computing or doing calculation, we are getting this initial decision parameter value. So for that we are calculating delta x, delta y, and all these equations. So as you know, delta x is mod of x2 minus x1 and delta y is mod of y2 minus y1. And as the next last step which I explained to you, to find out the next y value, we have to consider this two case. That if pk is less than 0, which would be the next pixel? Pk is less than 0 means d1 minus d2 is less than 0. So your next pixel will be xk plus 1 comma yk. And if pk is greater than 0, that is the second case. So their next pixel value would be this. That means this is nearer to D2, or I can say this is nearer to this pixel. So this is the main algorithm of Bresenham line drawing algorithm. So if you have understood the main concept, you would easily be calculating the actual line pixel value. I hope you got the point.